Hello, everyone. How are y'all doing? I just realized I left my phone somewhere. That's not good. Let me go grab it. Shit. It's always something I'm forgetting. Oh, I also forgot to turn on the ring light to light up my face properly. Two things. Let me grab, and then we'll begin. Oh. All right. Pulling up the old stream manager, putting it down there, and great. How y'all doing? It's it is Monday. Back to work. I had a nice vacation, but it's over now. Whatever. I'll say I'm not feeling super great. My throat's been sore for a couple days now, and following a whole bunch of travel, traveling across states into like a different place, a persistent sore throat really does worry you, even if you go to busy targets all the time, and that's usually no big deal. I go to Target all the time, and usually it's no big deal. My cushion is back. I worry, that like, well, maybe I got something. And what in particular could I be worried about? Well, I've never had the COVID. I've never had it, so I don't know what it's like. And persistent sore throat sure seems like a bad sign after traveling. I suppose it could be anything. There's a million different colds and viruses out there that all give you a sore throat to start with. Just, I would like it to go away and stop being annoying. That said, I do intend on talking this whole stream, and regardless of sore throat or whatever, how you doing, French police? A little bit of a sore throat. I wonder if I got it while on my Silver Dollar City trip. Could have just as easily been from Target, I suppose, all things considered, but, what are you gonna do? I will say, let me just say one thing before we start. I have one thing to plug before we start. Not that much has been going on, back to work. Streams are mostly going to be normal from here on out. But on Sunday there will be a big stream, the Rare Roulette, celebrating 500 Twitch followers, which we reached on Saturday, and actually, we passed. And hopefully we stay above that number, because it would be awfully silly if we were celebrating 500 when we had 499 or something. Fingers crossed. Hey, there's a Mario Maker stream before here and then. Probably would pick up any... If it were to drop by 1 or 2, probably would pick up 1 or 2 during the Mario Maker stream on Friday, so I bet that'll work out. Anyway, Rare Roulette, that is planned for Sunday. Big ol' stream. I have a promo card for that there. You can see, have a look at it. Took a little inspiration from the wireframe Rare logo that I love. But you can see the lineup there of the 7 games. The DKCs, all 3 of them. Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie, Banjo-Kazooie, Grunty's Revenge, and It's Mr. Pants as sort of the joke game. And I'll be switching between them randomly every minute or 2. Whole thing. That'll be on Sunday, and I expect it'll be going long. Not like 12 hours long, but maybe like 10, maybe like 9. Probably at least till midnight, I'll say. But we'll see what makes sense and how I'm feeling. It could be playing 7 games at once is exhausting, and I might need to just go like, okay, 8 hours in, this is so much, you know? And also, I'll say I don't know, like, if I'll be able to finish any of them. It seems possible to me. I mean, I think I've done all 3 DKCs in, like, a 6-hour stream before. So, each of them probably takes, like, what, 2 hours, maybe, if you add them all together? So, I could probably finish one of them a 7th with like, a 7th... Maybe. 1 or 2 or 3. Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie, though, those 2 are right out. Those, no. Grunty's Revenge, probably also too long. And It's Mr. Pants, just don't worry about that. It's a puzzle game. There's a lot of puzzles. That'll be a weird one when we get, whenever it comes up, but it should be fun. Also, I don't have an image or anything for it, or anything fancy, but Thursday's stream is going to be Pikmin 4. That game is coming out. As a result, the Thursday stream will be starting later at night because, you know, Pikmin 4, it'll unlock at 11 p.m. Central, so that'll be that. I got nothing else to announce up top, so let's just go ahead and get into this here. A little bit of nail sticking out. All weird. Let's just go ahead and get into this here video game. Wind Waker HD. Now, we got all these 3 pearls. These things might not be called pearls. Are they called something else? Are they not pearls? Let me see. Yeah, they're called pearls. Okay, good. I was wondering for a minute when I was setting up, like, I put in the thing that they're pearls. Are they not literally pearls? Turns out they're literally pearls, so we're good. That was not inaccurate. Alright, so last time we got these pearls, well, that means we're on to the next thing, which is putting these pearls in several pearl islands. Islands specifically meant for pearls. And I'm gonna sail at them, and I'm just going to, you know, place the pearls. And also, do I have bait? Check on my thing. Navigating on the touchscreen here. Yes, I do have bait. I wouldn't mind filling out my map as I go, just as a rule. Seems like a good thing to do. Though, you know, you won't be able to see it unless I do something silly like show you the gamepad. Not sure if that works. No, it's clearly too bright. It's not even that bright, the gamepad, and you clearly just cannot make heads or tails of it. Ah, well, that's the Wii U for you. Just incapable of doing things normally, you know? Alright, we're at the right... We're at the right place in the sea now. I see fish. I'm gonna grab that fish and then we're gonna place down the orb. And then, yeah. I'll say, by the way, I don't have as much planned as far as cards go this stream. Kind of been a slow couple of days since the last stream, which was on Saturday, you know. A Saturday stream into a Monday stream just leaves less time than I would maybe expect to, like, put together, you know, some stuff that I've yet to talk about. But there has been a couple of new things that have happened since the last stream, so, you know, we'll, I'll do a couple as we go. First off, we gotta put the orb down. Can you place these pearls early? Like the ones that aren't, like, that you don't get last? Like when you get fire, can you go place fire? I guess the answer is no, because once you get fire, you can only go directly down to forest. And once you get forest, you have the free reign, but, you know, it's basically, you know, the everlasting night has begun at that point. Alright, we placed orb. Where's ship? I'm ignoring these guys studiously. And, let's go north or something. Okay, we're going north. I know that I'm covering the compass, but this is the best possible thing I can cover without you know, without covering too much info. Here's a card. How about a card? Back at work. Yep. Back at work. Kind of a depressing thing, you know, to be back at work after a holiday, but you know, hey. It is what it is. So far, I'll say, like, I don't talk specifics about work here on this stream, but, you know, it's not all that bad. Apparently, I'll say this, apparently, I feel like that, you know, there's not much I can say as far as, like, I'll say this. Didn't have a morning meeting today, which was a nice surprise. Apparently, it seems we're laying off the morning meetings for a while, or something. I honestly don't know. I am not in the same time zone as most of my colleagues, and no explanation was given why all the morning meetings are canceled for the foreseeable future, so whatever, man. I guess, hey, things are quieting down for our team, maybe. And we no longer need, maybe we no longer need a meeting to track of things anymore. So that's nice, you know, hey. We'll be able to, like, you know, start my day whenever I feel it's right, I guess, you know. Don't have to, like, jump right into work right in the morning, if that continues to be the thing. Whoops, we got too close to the tornado. We'll be fine. We'll travel from the thing. I'll say one other thing about work, just without any context, without any, like, details, which is that, I actually almost forgot a little bit. Oh, damn it, we didn't actually turn in the orb, I totally was set to just leave right away once I got the map. Dang it. Also, I'm noticing now that we do pass one of the orb islands on the way north-south from volcano to forest. So I guess we did actually nap the other orb island, actually, for what it's worth. I guess at the time, you know, maybe it's a little more inconspicuous. Anyway, I will say one thing about work that I had forgotten, which is that, I had sort of forgotten during vacation, which is like, I hit the 10-year mark with the company I'm at, which is, you know, whatever. It's an even number. What else can you say about it? Nice, even, big number. And one that means, you know, precious little to me, if I'm being, like, if I'm being honest with myself. Like, yeah, you know, my boss was like, you know, congratulations on your achievement. And I saw that, and it's like, I don't know, it's a really achievement. It's just sort of a, you know, it just sort of is what it is, man. Yeah, nothing better came up in the 10 years I was here, you know. Yeah, I didn't find something better or go somewhere and get a huge pay bump. You know, that didn't happen in the last 10 years. It's true. Thank you for the congratulations. And apparently I got some sort of rewards points, which I can trade in for like crappy headphones or something. I scrolled through that. There's like a rewards site that I got like 200 points or whatever the fuck on, and apparently that translates to like I could get a Paperwhite for free, like an Amazon Kindle Paperwhite. I was looking at that, going like, man, there's kind of nothing here that I really want. Much less anything that's like, you know, only 200 points. You know. I guess that's the idea of those, like, rewards programs is, like, you know, they're probably not going to want anything, and they're probably going to say, you know, thanks but no thanks, and walk away with just nothing, and the company, you know, profits therein, you know, just giving you something that you can't even, that's not even worth redeeming, you know? I do wonder, looking at that, like, okay, well, would there be any, like, benefit to being like, okay, let me redeem it for, like, a cordless drill. Like, yeah, a cordless drill, and then sell it on, like, used on Amazon or something. Like, that would probably convert to, like, $100, right? Maybe $60? I don't know. I don't know how much you get for a used, not used, you know, secondhand anyway. I don't know how much you can get, like, selling a specific item on Amazon. I guess if it's not used, if it's, like, fresh in box, maybe you can sell it as much as they do on Amazon, you know. The proper people, but, honestly, I look at that and I go, like, yeah, I'm probably not gonna fuck around with that. Nah. There's your pearl. Go ahead and do a thing. We got Fora's Pearl. Fora's Pearl? Oh. Getting a little restless today. I got this this cushion for my chair. I also have it, so I put it on my couch here. And it's a little small for the size of the couch cushion, so it's a little awkward to like place it and position myself on it. Apparently, this sort of cushion is supposed to be really good for your spine, so I want to do it because you know, sometimes I have back issues, and probably best to sit right and not incur any further such issues. For those who have only played Tears of the Kingdom and don't know what that is, that's the Triforce. It doesn't come up in Tears of the Kingdom, but it's a very important thing in the Zelda mythos. It's been entirely lost and forgotten about, I guess, by the time of Tears of the Kingdom. And Breath of the Wild, too. But, used to be a very big symbol. Very popular symbol. It means three. Three force. The three sides of the Triforce, they represent power, wisdom, and courage. And as for what the empty hole in the middle represents, I don't know if we've ever gotten an answer to that. Who would it represent of the Zelda, in the Zelda franchise? Right. This is the Trial of the Gods. The Tower of the Gods, specifically, is what it is. We're gonna go inside, and gonna be a whole bunch of stuff in here. Tower of the Gods, here we go. It's a dungeon. We're starting off right fast this time with an actual goddamn dungeon. This is the one dungeon where you get to, like, you know, sail around. which is kind of neat, you know? Sort of a water dungeon, even though it's sort of a water dungeon. I don't know if you described it as a water dungeon. It has water in it, but that doesn't make it a water dungeon. The water level is mostly not really that relevant, honestly. I guess there is a little bit of water stuff here, like this is clearly water stuff. Whoops. Here. Set down the block to make a bridge, but only when the water is down. But it'll eventually go back down, the bridge will reappear, and, you know, there you go. How about another card where we wait just like a moment? Okay, that's fast. Did you hear about Game Pass Core? Microsoft announced this thing today, or the other day. I'm not sure if it was today or yesterday, but they announced it, where basically it's a slightly cheaper Game Pass service that only comes with like a subset of games. And I'll say it's not like the best. It's not like the best lineup of Game Pass games. You know, it's just like a small smattering, and it also comes with gold. You know, the online service. Now, I'll say this thing, you know, it's very specifically not meant to be like a replacement for Game Pass, you know? It's not like just cheaper Game Pass. It's very specifically if you want the online, because it turns out, you know, Game Pass doesn't come with Xbox Gold. You have to get Game Pass Ultimate previously to get Xbox Gold to get online play, and that's why typically I've always had Xbox Ultimate, even though I don't do anything with the cloud stuff, nor with the streaming stuff. I guess the PC stuff. I don't do anything with the PC side of things. Just like toss fire here. Well, you could, but you couldn't really get as far as you need to go. Doesn't really work. So anyway, yeah, there's like a selection of 16 games, and they've said that they're gonna like be moving things on and off, and this sort of replaces games with gold, by the by. Seems like a pretty good offering, and something that's like a not quite regular Game Pass, but also, you know, comes with the gold. I'll say like it would be much better if they just introduced like, okay, here's the Game Pass, regular ass Xbox Game Pass plus Xbox Gold, and it doesn't include PC or the streaming, and it was like a smaller price. That would be the compromise that would actually, like, make a difference to me. You know, because I sub to... Fuck! That's not good. Because I sub to, Dang it. I sub to, Ultimate just so I can get the, just for the convenience of being able to use the online and also have, like, you know, the Game Pass. And if you compare the price of just, like, Damn it. This needs to be pushed one out. Though, I'm all out of sticks. Well, actually, hang on. I can solve this. Need to ride this sucker up. Dang it, I dropped my stick. But yeah, anyway. It's an interesting price point that I think doesn't really satisfy what what I need in Game Pass. You know, I need something that's just like the regular Game Pass plus gold and slightly cheaper, and that would be good for me. This just quite doesn't do it for me. Just quite. Hey, we did it. Chest. This is less a water dungeon and more a water level dungeon. I'm just gonna leave. These guys can have fun in this empty room, but they're not gonna have fun with me. No? Anyway, speaking of Microsoft, how about the next card? Microsoft and Sony signed a deal for Call of Duty over the next 10 years. So yeah, they've locked it in now. Sounds to me like you know, when this came out like on Saturday or on Sunday, it was Sunday. When this came out on Sunday, people immediately went like, okay, well, Sony clearly believes that this deal is going through, and I think they're probably right in that. Again, I'll say, I think that the idea of the Call of Duty exclusivity being all that big a deal for anyone who's not Sony, to me that doesn't seem all that meaningful. You know, I saw some people on like Discord and such talking about like, okay, you know, it's kind of fucked up that so much effort and attention is given to Call of Duty, considering that, like, you know, this deal also includes Blizzard and thus World of Warcraft. You know, if we're just talking like huge properties that make a lot of money, World of Warcraft and Candy Crush make a lot more money than Call of Duty, just because they're a lot less, you know, niche. But, you know, obviously, to be clear, obviously Sony doesn't care about either of those games. They're not a problem to Sony. They don't affect Sony, but the FTC is not Sony. And the FTC should be thinking about things that don't involve Sony. You know? The FTC's agenda should have been not just Sony's agenda. And I think that was like a core weakness in their case. The fact that they just like aligned so clearly with Sony, such that, you know, their arguments didn't seem to be so much what's good for the industry, what's bad for the industry, but like, what's bad for Xbox's biggest competitor, you know, which is coincidentally the, you know, the majority shareholder? They're the leader in the space, for what it's worth, so, you know, who gives a fuck what they want? Not really super relevant. And any, like, conversation that focuses on them too much is so easily, like, deflected by saying, like, well, whatever, man, they're number one, so who gives a fuck what they want, you know? Which I think is part of why the FTC lost. They focus so much on just, oh wait, what does this mean for their competitors? That they forgot that, like, okay, well, their competitors are also big companies that acquire things and, you know, make unfriendly moves. They're not exactly the heroes in this situation. You know, you gotta take a broader look. And probably pay more attention to, like, the services side. And the consolidation of, like, you know, games as a service, all that. Maybe not games as a service, but, you know, like, all that business, you know? Anyway, last thing about Microsoft, do you think they'll close the Activision purchase right soon? Man, knowing that, like, the FTC is fixing to do another case on them, and that they won the right to just go ahead, I say they won. The government is letting them just go ahead and make the deal. I think they would want to just go ahead and make the deal, especially considering they did have a deadline or something of, like, let's see, tomorrow? So I don't know what's happening with that, considering that it's today. It's the end of the day. And last I checked, last I heard, Microsoft has not bought Activision quite yet. But people have told me, I've asked people, and they told me that what might be going on is that they still have the CMA thing to sort out. And kind of sounds like CMA is open to talking it out right quick. And if they do that, you know, they'll be making the deal as soon as that's cleared, I'd guess. And apparently they can do some sort of extension to get the deadline pushed back. They probably do want to make sure that they get their purchase done before August 2nd. You know, before like, you know, the United States government takes another crack at it. Before the FTC gets back on their case and, you know, does their second case that they have planned. But it looks like it's going through. I'll say, you know, I'll say again, consolidation is a bad thing, and a lot of bad things have happened when companies have consolidated. But I do have Game Pass, and, you know, hey, it is interesting to know, like, oh yeah, you know, a lot of games are going to be coming to Game Pass. I haven't played a Call of Duty since Call of Duty 2. Not Modern Warfare 2. Call of Duty 2. The second one, which was not very good. At least in my opinion, I didn't think it was very good. I played it and I just really didn't get the appeal back in, like, you know, 2005. And when I heard that the new one, 4, was good, I said, like, I don't know if I believe that. And I just, you know, didn't get it. And that's always been the case since then, you know. What? We need to get those guys over there. Ow. Fuck. Bit of an annoying thing, isn't it? Can I, like, boomerang it, maybe? I am really low in the health. Yikes. I don't like this. Okay. There we go. Whatever. Good. And I'll say, like, I think it'll be very nice when a bunch of Amazon games, you know, suddenly are on Game Pass and I can just try out, you know, the Spyro collection or whatever the fuck Crash Bandicoot games there have been, you know, that I've never played. And I'm sure that there can be a lot of, like, honestly, I could see, like, a whole era, a whole period of, like, you know, I have primarily done on this channel replays, you know, playing games I already know that I like. We could start doing things like going into the Spyros, going into the Crash Bandicoots, playing, you know, like whatever the fuck else they're adding that I've never played. Like, the Activision lineup is full of games that you might actually want to play if you've never played them before. Now, that isn't to say, like, the acquisition is like a godsend, don't get me wrong. You know, let's be brutally honest here. This sort of thing doesn't have to involve let's be fair here. This sort of thing doesn't have to involve an acquisition. You know, like EA Play has been on Game Pass forever as part of some deal, and it's just on Game Pass, and that's all you need to know. You know? We just carry the guy here, right? Still, on the bright side, a lot of fun opportunities that for like content in the future, but you know, I will say it is a bit worrisome that this would happen. I'll say this as well. I'm glad that it's ending, and I hope, regardless of how I feel about the about mergers, acquisitions in general, I just want this fucking drawn-off process to end, you know? We've been hearing about this shit for like 2 years now, feels like. And I just want it to be over. I just want to be like, okay, give us the games, just put it on the thing and have that be that. Whatever, you know. I'm ready to see this all come to a close, and it looks like that is happening. That looked like a thing I'd have to shoot, but I don't have the bow yet. Do I? Ah. Water, good. I like water. There's a song. How many other dungeons have had songs in them in Zelda games? I mean, I guess for songs, you're talking about three games, including this one. Ocarina, Majora's Mask, and this one here. So I guess just trying to think about other songs in this game. I guess there are songs in the entrances of dungeons. That's not that much different from, like, songs than like the songs that you need to enter a dungeon or that get you to warps to a dungeon in Ocarina. I will say though, what do people think of that in retrospect? Songs to enter dungeons. Like, to my mind, it's a kind of a weird thing, because it's like, okay, well, you want to have fast travel, but they didn't feel like going for a menu, but so instead they just made it so that there were 6 songs that took you to 6 places. Majora's Mask and this one are a lot more simple, where it's just like, okay, there's one song. That's the fast travel song. It'd be silly to make you learn 6 different songs for fast traveling. But I don't know, there's like a certain charm to it. A certain charm to having a song for a purpose, and these guys are immune. Weird thing about having the touchscreen here is that it don't pause when you do menuing stuff. I guess I could pause if I wanted to, actually. I absolutely could pause. Fairness. I just don't want to because that's slow. Not that I really care about how fast or slow this goes, but you know. I like a little bit of speed, you know? Don't want to drag things out at all. Okay, here we are. Another one of these rooms. Say, come on, good buddy. And see, now here you have to use the song. Song of, doing a thing. And then you control this guy. Cool. And R undoes it. One thing I don't like about the songs in this game, you can't just bang them out. You have to... They always take like a set amount of time to go through because you have to like go do. You gotta go do. And then to have that be that. I know that it was the solution to like, oh, the C-stick, you know, they were not buttons. But, and I know also that later games would just say like, fuck it, no more buttons. No more music's being controlled by buttons. What was that counter thing that came up? I had some opportunity to counter him there, but whatever, that's just hitting him with a sword. What was that? What was that? Wasn't a counter at all. Oh, it was a hint. Yeah, be cool. It's cool to leave him behind. That's probably a good thing for them to say, like, hey, don't worry. Just go. You have to go. This is how the dungeon goes. Please understand. Is it gonna tell us this guy's name is Dark Nut? I'm pretty sure this guy's name is Dark Nut. The best thing I think to do with this guy is to just hit the A button with good timing. And eventually you'll take off all his clothes and then, you know, you'll kill him. Oh hey, another sword for us to use. Guy doesn't know what to do. I took a sword. Looking around being like, what the fuck was my sword? They do that in Tears of the Kingdom as well, you know. I wonder if this game had development issues. You know, probably had to drop a dungeon in there. Specifically, whatever the water dungeon was going to be for the Great Fish. You know, that had to be originally the third dungeon, right? Have they said specifically what that was going to be? Is there like... I've always been curious about that. You know, if there was like cutting room floor information, you know, about it. I like, the way that you aim bows and arrows using just a gyro. That was a good thing. You know? wouldn't necessarily think it, but just moving the Wii U gamepad or the 3DS in the case of the other ports turned out to be a great thing for the Zelda series. And it's funny, it's unfortunate that they got this working like the generation after they had a whole console built around motion controls. Whatever they're doing something right, and I don't think anyone else really has done it quite this right, you know? I guess the thing also is you're not always aiming with the arrows, you know? You're only doing it on occasion when you want to, you know? Like... Well, these guys are small. Okay, you know what? They're hard to hit. For some reason, I'm holding down ZR, expecting it to work like Metroid Prime. Something about the way this is. I guess holding down a button to shoot is just such a Metroid. Is more Metroid-y than anything. You know, Metroid Prime-y. Can't really think of any other shooters where you hold down a face button, shoot your gun. Maybe like some sort of Mega Man game. Let's do another card. Follow up on DK64 Rando 2.0 setup. So, the other day, Saturday, did a stream of DK64 Rando 2.0, which is the newest version, and added a bunch of features, including letting you like shuffle a whole bunch of stuff into a shared pool. So I decided to shuffle the moves with a whole bunch of other stuff. Now, that resulted in the moves just being honestly a little frustratingly hard to find, and I think I would I would not do that in the future. How about we use the Deku Leaf and we just float? Land. But we use more accuracy than that, how about? There we go. Anyway, that seed ended up being really hard. If also because I was using loading zone randomization, which turns out in combination with settings that like randomize everything else and make it so that like the move that we want could be anywhere, such that it's really, really hard to track. Ended up being a really difficult seed, and one that I probably would not set up that way again. And I've thought about it since the stream, and also during the stream. You know, I've actually talked about it a lot on the stream itself. But if I was doing it again, I would take advantage of the ice traps, but not for the regular item pool, but instead just mixing the ice traps in with the golden bananas and have that be it. You know, have it be occasionally when we see a golden banana, it's not a real one, and instead it's a fake, and we have to get hurt instead of getting a golden banana. That sounds like it would just be a little funny from time to time, rather than making moves really hard to find. I think I found... Despite it being, like, a very logical way to, like, introduce complexity to the randomizer. Wait, what? There's nothing here. What? The hell is the point of this room? Oh, shit. That was the point of that room. Shit. Rather than... Even if it's a way to introduce complexity to the randomizer, I think I prefer just keeping things simple and, just keeping things simple as far as the logic goes, and making it so that the main challenge is grappling with the randomization of load zones, finding our way to each world and getting all the moves, and having the moves at least be like predictable in where they are. You know, manageable. Whereas this was less than manageable, unfortunately, just by the way it was. I also do think that we should end with a K. Rool fight, though it doesn't have to be the full thing. Just a one phase is good enough for. Oh, I see the problem. We have to go back, not forward. I thought platforms just weren't lining up or something. I think just not ending with K. Rool is just a little bit anticlimactic, and it's not really a big out-of-the-way thing to go fight K. Rool, so might as well go do it. There is another randomizer where I don't end with the final boss, and that's just because, you know, in the case of the Minish Cap randomizer, you can't just go fight the final boss. You have to go through the final dungeon, and the final dungeon is like, you know, it's a long dungeon. All that for a fucking joy pendant? At least in Tears of the Kingdom, when you get something that's like, you know, just a thing, at least you can put it on your weapon and swing it around. I can't do shit with this joy pendant. You know? I could probably do something. I don't know. Probably not entirely useful, it just feels entirely useful. Me. Hey, leave me alone. There we go. Well, this looks like a room that we should do. The Wind Song, maybe? Probably the Wind Song, right? The other song? It's not like a... There's not like a... There's not like a Zelda song. What the fuck? What's this? Why is there a Zelda thing on the floor? Oh. Duh. I was standing in the wrong spot. In previous games, you always stand on the Triforce. But in this case, you gotta stand on the wind. And play the Wind Song. Okay, those guys are taken care of. Treasure chest. Ooh, a treasure map. Sorry. There's some non-essential stuff in this dungeon. I don't know when they built this tower how they knew where the treasure would be. You know. I guess that is another piece of overlap between this game and Tears of the Kingdom. There are also treasure maps in Tears of the Kingdom, you know. Very funny, in retrospect. I think that the ones in Tears of the Kingdom, where they just mark a thing on your map and say, hey, go here, dumbass. That is perhaps a little more clean than this, where it's like a whole big deal, and you have to think and, like, know where places are. In Tears of the Kingdom, they just put an X on your map and say, you know, go there. Whatever you please. I don't think we had a key to start with, so maybe with that room, the room with the joy pendant was not all that useless. Maybe we got a key like midway through and I just, you know, forgot. I sing my song of control. Well, if the idea is to fly, I'm all out of flight juice, you know, so got that down. See, my paraglider is limp. So what the fuck? Can I go outside and get a box or something? Yes. That'll work. Anyway, DK64 randomizer. I do want to play that again, you know, I really love that randomizer, so I will one day, I'm sure, play it again. And when I do, we'll have a pretty different setup, but one that is more like the previous times I played, and not anything like brand new. Just with ice traps inserted, and maybe blueprints mixed into with the golden bananas or something. Something like that, you know, sounds like a perfectly good idea. Funny that the Wizrobes are birds in this one. I guess that's a lot like the Gerudos suddenly being insects in Tears of the Kingdom. You know, kind of a similar idea, just taking an existing enemy and just like completely recasting them as something entirely new. You know, I say entirely new. You know, something that's like has a very distinct like character that it didn't have before. How about another card? How about we do another card? Watched a bunch of The Food That Built America. Went over to hang out with my folks on Sunday. Have a nice, you know, Sunday afternoon, and we ended up just watching a bunch of TV. And, you know, like live actual TV rather than like Seinfeld or something. Or Severance or something on a streaming service. It was kind of annoying having to, you know, deal with commercials, but whatever. I wasn't really paying full attention anyhow. Just a really interesting show about just, you know, how food is made. Not how food is made, but how the history of various food products and food brands, which, you know, is very interesting. I like YouTube stuff like that generally. That's a genre of YouTube video that I also can get way into. Just someone telling the story of some big company, some big thing, going into a lot of detail on it. I'll say, for that, The Food That Built America is pretty good. I will say that it does include like a number of like reenactments of like what it must have been like for the people at the time. And every time they have one, I'm sort of like sniggering a little bit, you know, a little bit like that's snickering a little bit. That's not how it went. You know, that's definitely not it. You know, guys in suits going like, you know, taking a bite and then going like, yes, I think we've got something here. It's like, well, it probably didn't happen like that exactly, because that is just ridiculous. But it's a good story they're telling, and I think they tell it well. I do think sometimes, you know, like, I have before watched, some Netflix specials, or like, you know, with the folks, you know, with the family. We put on like a Netflix special about, like, say, the history of Lego or something, and just been completely underwhelmed. You know, sometimes documentaries that tell the story like that, they don't do a good job all the time, you know, and you just end up thinking after you finish it, you end up thinking like, well, goddamn, you know, I think a YouTube video would have done this like 10 times better, you know. In fact, I'm pretty sure I've seen a YouTube video that tells the story of Lego 10 times better than the Lego thing that's on Netflix. You know? And that's kind of sad if you think about it, isn't it? You'd like to think anything that's on like a proper streaming service would be better than like YouTube, than just like a random YouTuber's like breakdown of it, but that's the reality of things, you know. There's kick-ass stuff on YouTube that beats the shit out of any like that is like best in market as far as certain things go, you know. What am I doing wrong? Oh, okay, you do throw the bomb at the head. They just gotta be on. Or, well, whatever. Okay, that worked. Alright, let me get up a bottle or something. See if there's any other... No, I think I used the one fairy already. Dang it. Ah, well. Alright, later bird, it's time to finish off this dungeon. This has gone quite quick, and I know the next part of this is not that long either. Maybe we'll go do Forsaken Fortress as well after we do this. That said, I will say I don't mind a shorter stream. As I said, my throat's been acting up recently. Has been sore. So you know, if we could end and then like I could sleep or do honestly, I'd watch a bunch of anime and maybe a watch party. I know that Giant Bomb is doing a watch party of RoboCop right now, and well, if it happened, it's kind of unfortunate it happened to coincide with when I'm, you know, my stream time, and I'm not gonna move around my stream just so I can watch a movie with people, but I'll probably watch the VOD of that, and, you know, I'll probably watch the VOD of them watching that movie, like, after this, maybe. RoboCop is, like, not that long, is it? I know that there are certain people on that watch party who have never seen RoboCop before, and also who had to dress up as RoboCop for reasons. I've mentioned Blight Club before, that's what I'm referring to. Blight Club is a thing that they do over on Giant Bombing. And it's quite good. One of the YouTube things that I like a lot. You know. Alright. There we go. Third hit will be the charm. I'm a little short on arrows, but he'll snoot some out of his nose when I'm like really out of him. Just like that. Okay. More hits, and then last hit. Rule of 3. That's right, it's rule of 3. The path can now be opened. That is right. That's me. That's right, it's what we've chosen. We will go forward, specifically with caution. Yay! Oh, look at Link, he's so happy. That is one of the things that's good about this game compared to like some... That's maybe like better about this game than like later Zelda games. This Link is so emotive, you know? Just like him just standing here, he's like going like, oh, oh. You know, he's looking at stuff, he's celebrating, he showboats a little bit, he gets a little sly on occasion. Has a lot of personality. And then that's like the one shame about like the Tears of the Kingdom version of the character, where it's just like, you know, in Breath of the Wild as well, where it's just like, yeah, it's not important. You know, it's not important like his facial expression or anything. It's not an important thing. It's time to ring the bell, and then a thing's gonna happen. Ding dong. That was the Tower of the Gods. I put the title The Tower of the Gods into the thing. Somewhere. I'm gonna now put Beneath the Sea. Good enough. Like the song, Beneath the Sea, you know? Like in Goodfellas. Somewhere beneath the sea. Somewhere waiting for me. Also, BioShock. The two things that song is known for. Goodfellas and BioShock. Do people know that song outside of Goodfellas and BioShock? Somewhere Beneath the Sea? Maybe just between those two things it's very well known. You know. Goodfellas, especially. I mean, I guess there's... recently, I just pulled up a soundtrack of, like, okay, all the Goodfellas songs, the songs that are in Goodfellas. And I realized, like, oh, I don't know most of these. So I guess being in Goodfellas isn't exactly a claim to fame. But for a couple of songs, and a couple of sequences, like Layla, piano exit. Oh shit, it's Hyrule. That's right, Hyrule is beneath the sea. For a couple of songs like Layla, and then he kissed me, and a couple more, Goodfellas made them. But for a bunch of others, it's just like you listen to the soundtrack and go like, when was this in the movie? I don't remember that one because there's like 40 of the songs in there. I always wished, shit. I guess this is another point of commonality between like Tears of the Kingdom and Wind Waker. Spoilers for Tears of the Kingdom. Spoilers for Tears of the Kingdom. But ones you probably know already if you've been playing it at all. I always was enchanted with the idea there's like, oh, there's another Hyrule, but under the sea, a whole nother open world, if you will. And it was always kind of disappointing that that wasn't really what's here. It's basically a castle and a very small path that leads to another castle. A dark castle. As opposed to this castle, which is a nice castle. But like all that out there, you can never go to it. And you'll never see it. It's just nothing out there. I always thought that was kind of a missed opportunity. I thought it would be rad as hell if you could like, if say for instance to get to the other dungeons in this map, you had to travel along the seafloor. That'd be so cool. And hell, I'll say, if they're looking for ideas for Tears of the Kingdom DLC, it'd be cool if there was like an ocean. If you could go out on the ocean, and when you went underground there, it was just like, this whole Hyrule again. And it turns out that, Tears of the Kingdom maybe is the flooded Hyrule. And then you'd have characters go like, oh wait, there was a second Hyrule that came, there was another Hyrule that came before all Hyrule, and then was flooded, and then, was lost before the sea, and they thought they destroyed it because, they wished upon a star. Spoilers for this game. But I guess it is not supposed to be there anymore, and probably would be like, can you imagine living here? Hey, maybe this Hyrule became the depths. Maybe this is the depths. Maybe this eventually became the depths over time. I guess that doesn't make sense. I mean, why would the Great Sea become a great continent? And just bury while leaving the underground like completely unaffected. I'll also say like the frozen effects on the water and stuff. Oh my god, so cool, so good. God, I wish I could do like a selfie cam thing and be like, how you can do with Link, and you can in Tears of the Kingdom you can go like and do all the things you do with Link. This is wait. I have a thing. Can I do that? Oh! Oh yeah, I can. Okay. They you know what? This is a modern video game. This is a remake. They thought of that. They thought of that. Okay. We gotta take like a selfie with like a moblin or something. Or like the Link statue there, which does look a lot like us, Link. I wonder what that guy's name was. And look at that. That's the ghost guy from Breath of the Wild. The king also always looks the same, I suppose, is the lesson. Ooh. That looks weird. You have to do a thing to turn it into a color pictograph, don't you? Also, yeah, the how do you zoom? Oh! Hang on. You can do like angry eyes with LZ. Okay, so there's like a modifier with LZ. Do like an angry face, a happy face, like I'm irritated face. I'm I'm sexually frustrated face. Here is I'm surprised. I'm in pain. That's a good face. Kind of angry. That's a good one. I like that. That might be the thumbnail for the stream. Just Link Paga Circle. That's good. I think we got it. Yeah, shape of the heraldry. You gotta make a Triforce. That's what he means. It's the magic symbol of Hyrule. Maybe stand over here. How about another card? Shout out to striking writers and actors. Heard a lot of stuff about the writer strike and the actor strike that have been going around about the state of things and the streaming, with streaming being the way forward. You know, people saying things like, probably most egregiously, some of the earliest stars of streaming basically saying like, you know, oh, for Orange is the New Black, I didn't make enough. For Orange is the New Black, people wondering, like, seeing people from them not making enough off that show where they just, you know, they can't just quit their day jobs in a lot of cases. You know, people who work on streaming shows basically being recognized in the real world and people not understanding, like, wait, why aren't you sound a lot like the guy from the television show, and them not having the heart to say, like, yes, I am. That's true. But you know, I still have to take your order. You know, it seems to me that being a actor for any sort of anything should be some sort of full-time gig. You know, should be basically a full-time gig. And if people are, like, good enough in shows and TV shows so that people remember them, then they should be compensated well enough where you know, they should be compensated well enough where they shouldn't have to work at a toll booth or whatever the fuck. You know, that's ridiculous. I also think that, obviously, they should not have things tied into their contracts, or like, oh, you know, if they want to, if the company wants to do like wants to like replace them with like machines or something. It shouldn't be like, you shouldn't be allowed to put that into their contract, that they have to be able to like make a AI version, a deep fake version of them, and and that the company owns their likeness or whatever the fuck. That's fucked up. They try to slip that apparently into some sort of like contract for like to resolve the strike or something, And I think everyone smartly said, no fucking way. Because, yeah, that's fucked up. I think that, you know, if there have been any cases where it's been slipped into any contracts, I think that they should have the right to annul that, to revoke any sort of privilege and get the rights back to themselves. This is a cool bit. This is a really cool thing right here. I like this version of time resuming, everything just becoming saturated again, and all the enemies just like starting back up. That is just rad as hell. Look at that, we got the sword. Yeah, that's right, it's a sword. Shout out to y'all, writers, actors, the lot, CGI people as well. I know that y'all don't have a union, but you should, and I hope that everyone involved in the television industry gets their labor demands met. And then some. I hope you really push it to them, and get something more reasonable. It's also cool in this area, there's like all these murals that are just like directly referencing Ocarina, like not even like, you know, toying around with it, just like, no, here's the characters from Ocarina. They're just on the walls. You know, there's Rauru, who, you know, was originally a character from Ocarina. Also the name of a goat. Or, I've heard that said that the Zonai actually might be more like rabbits than goats. If you're looking at them, you know. At least the other one, you know, there's another Zonai character who has, like, upright ears, and her upright ears do look a lot more bunnyish than goatish, if you're just, like, comparing them, but... Anyway, there's Syria. There's, the mountains under the sea. Under the sea. There's a sea under the sea. There's, what was his name? Daruma? There's, Impa? There's, I forget her name. There's the Triforce. Always thought that was so damn cool. Just having, like, the 6 sages from Ocarina just, like, directly around the wall. You know, Majora's Mask is the direct sequel to Ocarina, but this game, like, is the direct, like, plot sequel of the consequences of Ocarina, I guess. That makes sense. Oh. You know what, I'm just realizing that, like, hey. There was a mini-boss in the last dungeon that was just, like, one Dark Nut. And now we have to fight, like... Now we have to fight, like, a dozen of them. I guess, hey, you know, it goes pretty fast because now we got the sword that seals the darkness, the Master Sword. The sword that repairs itself and does other things, you know. The only sword that cannot be broken. The strongest sword ever made. Master Sword. Also known as the Goddess Sword, I guess, in like Skyward Sword, you know, originally. I watched a video about like weapons in the Zelda series, and they were talking about the Goddess Sword. That's how I remember what that is. It's been a bit since I played Skyward Sword. You know, the Switch remake. When that came out, I bought it, played through most of it. Got to the place where it got really grindy, and I said, okay, I'm done. I'm good. Okay. You know what? I don't need to do, like, a million side quests to get to the next thing. That's crap. That's just a bit of garbage there. That game's a game that's bloated. Even before you get to like the last dungeon sprint before the last dungeon, there's just a lot of bloat between like every set of dungeons. It's unfortunate. Where's the tower? You can't see the tower from the ground level. Tower of the Gods. Where did it come from? Is the Tower of the Gods just in the top of the castle? It's built in a whole different architectural style than the castle, though. I guess it's built by the gods. You know what? It's built by the gods. This is Hyrule Castle is built by the humans. So does that make it like of Zonai construction? If the Zonai are like the gods? Or like the gods before they came down? Maybe. We gotta fight a few more before we can leave. How about another card? Played a bunch of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe online. So yeah, last week the DLC came out, and found some time this weekend to play some online. Part of that was last night while I was watching the food show with my parents. You know, just like hanging out at their place. I pulled out my Switch and just played a bunch of like the online multiplayer, just like idly. I'll say, you know, the shame of it is that because you can only... The way that it works, right, is obviously just like mash into random matches, and then there's just 3 courses that come out, and people just have to vote, and then one of them gets randomly selected. As a result, it's, you know, you're not like guaranteed or anything to see the new content, and I'll say, like, I didn't get to play a lot of the new tracks despite playing for idly for a good bit. I also dropped by Judo Yudo's stream and played some Mario Kart with him. He does like a stream on Sundays now. You know, he's getting back into the swing of things. This guy survive or nah? I don't think he survived, but the gate is still up. Must be someone up the upper right there. By the way, shout out to Judo Yudo. Great streamer. Love the really chill dude. Really cool dude. Love to drop by his, love to like hang out and play some Mario Kart with him whenever I have time on a Sunday, I guess. And also, and he's streaming. And also, I'll say like the time he guested, like near the start of the year, was very fun. I'd like to get him on and some other people on for Sunday's stream. I don't know if anyone has like plans or anything. Could be that you know, I'm not currently. I'll say I'm not like 100% sure if we'll have any guests for the stream on Sunday, but I would like to do that again. And since Judo does have Sundays off, kind of a good opportunity to do that. Elsewise, you know, his schedule doesn't really work with my stream schedule, unfortunately. But yeah, shout out to Judo. Shout out. Judo, you know. Shout out to Judo. Love him. And I'll say, when I played Mario Kart with him yesterday on his while he was streaming, undefeated. undefeated me. Well, as far as like me versus him goes, beat him every time. Felt pretty good about that. You know, making sure to like nail that down each time. Yeah, so out there is the is Hyrule. Huh. So in this case, Hyrule Castle is in the middle of a moat. I feel like that might be... Well, actually, you know what? In Ocarina of Time, it's also in the middle of a moat. It's not that unusual. I was just thinking, like, timeline-wise. But this seems like a much bigger moat, though. To the point where it seems like a small lake. With, like, water going in, other stuff. Also, yeah, I don't see the Tower of the Gods anywhere here. That's magic, don't worry about it. It's not terribly important. We'll come back here later, I am sure. Also, that's interesting, isn't that? Look at that. Zelda and her posse. I'm sure that's what the portrait painting is called. And you know what? They bear a striking resemblance to a certain set of someone we know. That interesting. I'm sure that won't come up later. These guys, they look like a thing. Ooh, I'm like jostling my leg, and that's making the camera go, ah. Okay. The downside of having the camera be like motion controlled is that my legs get restless. It's gonna get a little bit janky. Well, that was Hyrule. That was Hyrule Under the Sea. Let's Forsaken Fortress. We've only been going for about 2 hours now. Let's do the Forsaken Fortress. And do that. And have that be that. You know. That reminds me, I gotta see a fish about a map. Map of this place here. Tower of the Gods Island. Not really an island, it's just the Tower of the Gods. The one place in this game that's not actually an island, it's just a big tower. Or an isle, or, you know, a synonym thereof. You know, I guess it's also true we have now the ability to get fast travel. We have the bow. That's what we need. So we'll also head that way and get fast travel while we're at it. Ooh. Yeah, baby. The Triumph Forks. That's what they say, the Triumph Forks. I like the design of these guys. The fishmen, it's a cool design. Alright, let's just mosey on towards the Forsaken Fortress. Did I put Forsaken or Forbidden? Yeah, I put Forsaken. That's what it's called, Forsaken. Forsaken 2, let's go. Meanwhile, another card. Been playing Marvel Snap, just got back into the 90s. I'll say this season of Marvel Snap, I've been like treading water a bit. You know, I started at 70 because I ended last season in Infinite for the first time ever. And, you know, I thought that would make the climb easier since I only had to climb like less than 30 levels, but the 70s proved to be very tough to get out of, but I had a pretty good spurt of luck and was able to get from the 80s to the 80s and then past that to the 90s. And I'll say the 90s has been more up and down, you know. I'm currently at like 91, 92. So you start when you get to a level of 10 to you start at like 93. When you get to the 90s, it jumps you up to 93. So I have been losing more than I've been winning, cube-wise, but you know, so be it. I'll say that before... The hell is that? Oh, we're passing Great Fish Isle. I am way off in my navigation. I need to turn us north. I'll say I've been playing, I made this deck, modification of a deck I had earlier, a Nimrod deck, and honestly was using that for a bit, but I ended up switching over to this deck, which is similar in that it also has a Nimrod combo as like a win condition, but also it has a second win condition in multiple man Phoenix Force. And I'll say, for a deck that is named after multiple man and was intended to be used for Phoenix Force purposes, I'll say that Phoenix Force is the plan B. Nimrod is so much more reliable, but, you know, it all comes down to which of the cards that I draw. If I don't draw Nimrod, but I do draw Phoenix Force and multiple man and the card destroy it, then that's the plan we go with. And if I don't, then that's the other way. Nimrod gets it, so long as I draw it. Because I don't have to draw... because I have two plans that I can draw into, it's a little more reliable, it turns out. Even though it doesn't have, like, all the tools to, like, do the Nimrod combo, like, 100% right. You know? I think what's turning out is that a little bit of flexibility is just a lot more valuable than you know, doing a full combo. And also, I'll say even this deck, the one problem with this deck I've been playing is that if I don't draw either of my big overpowered combos in time to pull them off, the deck just loses, and there's very little I can do, so I have to retreat, and that's no good, you know. That's no good that that's the case here. This is next, right? Fortress 2? That's right, the sword that shines in the darkness. This sword is like, who's the guy who has too many names? I feel like there's a meme of a guy who has too many names. This sword has too many names. This is the sword that seals the darkness, the sword that shines in the darkness, the sword that banishes evil, the sword that seals away the darkness. Too many names. Pick one. Phantom Ganon looks cool. I've never really been into playing tennis with him, I'll say. Right. Playing tennis with Ganon and Phantom Ganon just, I don't know. Not really my idea of a good time, I guess. Good night. No wonder. Well, that's a bad picture. Okay. Not fucking around. Can you take a picture of these guys? Whatever, doesn't matter. I'm not gonna do the pictograph stuff. Not really. We should just kill this guy, how about? Kinda worrisome how many hits this guy is taking, considering that this is the sword that seals the darkness. And, well, that guy looks like... Well, he just looks like darkness. No? This should be sealing the darkness. Where's the sealing? The thing that I find fascinating about Forsaken Fortress, that I love in, like, any speedrun or anything, to take advantage of it. But, basically the way that it works when you don't have a sword is that if you run into a Mokoblin, the big guys, they treat you like you're on Forsaken Fortress 1, and they send you to jail, even if they're like a Mokoblin that's somewhere else, like, you know, like later in the game or on a submarine. And they use that they use that to, like, get to Forsaken Fortress after, like, doing a super swim glitch to get to a submarine in order to be thrown in jail. It's just sort of a fun consequence of, like, you know, how the game just treats Link without a sword, you know? And assumes that, like, okay, well, if you were running into this enemy without a sword, it must be at this time in the game. And it must be at this place, and yeah, you get thrown to jail. Go directly to jail, that's what happens. Even if you're, like, really far away from jail. Skullhammer, I feel like, is not the coolest thing. You know, I guess it's nice to be able to, like, hit pegs and stuff, which suddenly appeared since the last time we were here. But it is very slow, and, you know, look, it comes right after you get the sword that seals the darkness. And it's just another swinging weapon, you know? It's a tough act to follow, the sword that seals the darkness. And also the bow. The bow is also a hard act to follow. I mean, I guess it's the third projectile weapon. And actually the third one that's been a dungeon item. You know, there could be more variety there. Perhaps. These guys are annoying and there's an infinite amount of them. Let's not fight them. How about another card? Did you see that, did you see Universal Orlando's Villain Con Minion Blast Impressions? Minion Con is, a ride at Universal replacing the Shrek 4D show, and it's, gone into technical rehearsal, and, people have been riding it. You know, so long as they're testing it on the day. It's not guaranteed when you go right now that they will have it open, but seems like they have been having it open last couple of days, and people have been riding it, and we've got some impressions. The ride is basically a it's like a shooter simulator ride where you basically are given a gun and you stand on a treadmill like a moving walkway on, like, a certain dot, so you have to stand still. And basically it takes you through a bunch of rooms with, like, some props, some scenery, and some screens. And as you point your gun and shoot at the screen, you know, whatever you're pointing at explodes or gets hit, or, you know, there's like a projectile that's drawn on the screen to make it look like you're shooting a thing. Now, I'll say, impressions of this are mixed. The first one I saw was a YouTuber name of, like, Poseidon Entertainment or Poseidon Amusement. I forget what particular, the way that that's fashioned, but that was the first one I saw, and basically his impression was like, oh, this is terrible. This is the worst thing ever. I hate this. It's, you stand in line, and you point a thing at a screen, and the screens are laggy, and there's so many people in the treadmill that there's like a billion explosions and cursors going on at any given time, and it's kind of impossible to follow, and it's just kind of a mess compared to, like, you know, there are some other shooter attractions that do this well. This seems to be more in the manner of like web slingers at Disney Hollywood, right? Which people said was really not good. People also didn't like that one, which, you know, well, honestly, that sounds about right. You know, that this would be about that tier. Then I've heard some other people saying, like, oh, I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. It was fun to shoot things. Each of the rooms were cute. Each of the rooms were cute and were fun scenarios. Seems like there's some technical issues right now, and the guns are heavy. But, you know, it is in technical rehearsals, so all that is subject to change. You know, it's not exactly... Oh, shit. It's not exactly set in stone. It's not exactly set in stone, the performance of it, currently. And I'll say, you know, two of the other people that I checked, like, you know, Rixflix is a Universal streamer I like. He was pretty positive on it. And there was another one who said that he loved it. Which, okay. So, you know, seems like mixed reactions. I'll say, for my part, I don't like Men in Black that much. And Men in Black is the other, like, shooter attraction that's at Universal, Universal Studios Orlando. And, you know, to my mind, this seems like a slightly improved version of it. Insofar as, like, yeah, well, that one, when you're shooting things, there's no real projectile being drawn, because it's just, like, you know, practical set and all, and, like, a gun that's barely a laser pointer. So it's, like, impossible to tell how you're doing until you find out the end. At least with this one, it draws a cursor on the screen, even if it's hard to find, and it makes gun effects go off, even if they're, like, you know, overblown and, like, filling the screen full of shit. So it sounds like an attraction that is, like, one, not for me, but two, maybe, like, on par with one that I don't like already, and maybe a little better than that, even. And I'll say, like, I think it is good for this to exist, because, well, if I'm being quite honest, I would like it if Men in Black were to close down and be replaced. I think Men in Black is just ripe for replacements. I know that the Fear Factor stage that's behind Men in Black is probably being eyeballed by the Wizarding World for expansion there. But I think it would be cool if they instead closed Men in Black, closed Fear Factor, and just, like, made a new land. I want to see something entirely new there, and, like, something that's, you know, not just more Harry Potter and, or whatever the fuck, you know? So, I'm not expecting to be, like, blown away, but this is a good thing for the park. And also, let's face it, you can't be much worse than... Trek 4D was not very good. It was a show that you can... It was a video that's already on Netflix with some, like, your seat rumbles, basically. the most half-hearted simulator in the world, and replacing that with something that's like original and different, even if it's like not the best execution, I think it's admirable, and I think it's probably gonna be for me a tier above Fast and the Furious, which is just a bad ride. Let's go inside and see some cutscene. That was Forsaken Fortress 2. Not that long. Oh, well, actually, you know, a cutscene and also a boss fight. Right, I forgot about the boss fights. That's right, it's Link. Now, how the fuck am I gonna get you out? Oh, the door. Hey, these fuckers are here. Tetra. Tetra's cool. I wish that she stayed Tetra for the entire game. You know, the outfit is just really good. The look is great. One of the best Zeldas. Is that a spoiler? Maybe we shouldn't say. In the Zelda series, well, this game is one of the best Zeldas, it's true. But also, in a bit, I'll say a thing about Tetra overall. Whoops. I hit the button. No, I just need to leave now. We've gotten the girl. What is she gonna say? She's what? That's a weird thing. What is he thinking? She's her brother? No. Or she's his sister? I'm unclear what exactly the back and forth there was about. Alright, I gotta see a bird about being dead. Water Dungeon, Part 2. The gods love water. The gods must love water. That's pretty good. I mean, the gods sunk Hyrule. Clearly they have some affinity for water, in addition to making their dungeon the water dungeon, sort of. They love water, they just don't know what else to do with it other than making the water level go up, honestly. If I were them, I'd want to be, I'd want to use it for more creative things, you know. I guess the gods were pretty put off, you know. They said like, oh, you know, we designed the water temples. We put together the water temple in Ocarina with all these clever, like, water level changing stuff, and people really didn't like it. Link at the time, he told us that he had some trouble getting around, and that was never our intention. And we didn't want it to be that complicated, we just wanted it to be a bit of fun. So for the water temple this time, we decided to make it nice. We decided to just make it so that the water goes up and down, and that's it. And that's also, by the way, our solution to the whole Ganondorf won Hyrule thing. We're just gonna seal away Hyrule and Ganondorf and have that be that. Dude, get out the way. Dude. Okay, I need to bash his head in so he'll fuck off. Yeah, get out the way, man. I'm trying to get up there. Alright, we killed him. Go us. I thought they were gonna make it so that you had to walk over there, and before the spikes went up, and then cutscene happened. That would've been fun if I could have you know, walked around slowly and been like, okay, let's do another card. That was fun. Good boss battle. Seriously though, how about another card? This boss battle, you know how it goes. I'm gonna stomp this guy with my hammer, and then I'm gonna, once the helmet is off, I'm gonna sword him. Looking forward to Pikmin 4 this Friday, or more precisely, Thursday, 11 p.m. Central. Really, really excited for Pikmin. That's definitely one of the most excited I've been for a game this year. I'll tell you, other than like Tears of the Kingdom, I think no game is I think I've been looking forward to any other game any more so than with Pikmin 4. And I'll say again, there will be a live stream Thursday night starting around a little before 11. Usually it would be starting a lot earlier, but you know, because 11 is when it unlocks. There'll be a live stream of me playing it for the first time. You know, starting from World 2 after the demo. I'm gonna use the file I did off screen. I did the demo for the first time on stream. Then I went and redid it, but with a character design I'm feeling more. And also I was able to get the blue onion on the second try. Fucked it up a little bit the first time on stream. Went a lot more swimmingly second time, it turns out. And I'll say, playing that demo twice, fun both times. That's a fun game to play, and I reckon it's gonna have a lot of replay value, you know, going into the future. Just, especially if it's half as open as it seems, you know? If you're just free to do things in, various different orders, you know? You get this onion first, or that onion first, or, you know, whatever. Do this cave, get this ability, get this outcast. It all sounds very fun. Looking forward to it. Kind of a funny thing, he hit the wall. I should dodge, but I don't know. This is working just fine. There we go, the helmet's off, and now we can sort him. Cool evil bird. Does this evil bird have a name? It's like Is Helmrock the name of the bird, or is that from Donkey Kong Jungle Beat? Or is that the name of the generic bird enemy? I forget. Doesn't really matter. This big bird that we fight. Big evil bird. And it's been killed. Oh, and there's the spotlight thing. Even though, you know, it's not like the spotlights kill it, but it does die in the middle of the spotlights, like Spotlight Swim, Mario Party 3? Mario Party, whatever Mario Party that was in, Spotlight Swim. Alright, that was the boss fight. That was Forsaken Fortress 2. We're still, like, only 2 hours into the stream. But I feel like it would be silly to go into, like, the next dungeon, do, like, a whole bunch. I suppose we could, if I wanted to, go get, like, one traveling companion. You know what I'll say? We should at the, we have to get the songs before we get the traveling companions. Which means that we have to get, like, we would have to do, like, the bow and arrow mission. I think it'd be fun if we ended it, like, right outside the recruitment range of a certain someone, you know, either Makar or the other one. I think you can't recruit them both, like, right up front. You have to recruit one, do the dungeon, and then recruit the other, do their dungeon. I think we should go get the tornado ability. We should do that this stream. But other than that, I feel like a nice and tidy shorter installment of Wind Waker is kind of just what the doctor ordered, you know. I have been like looking at the streams that have been going like 4 or 5 hours on some of these playthroughs and thinking like, you know, when I originally started doing playthroughs, I was doing them as parts of bigger streams, you know? It's like I just did like one world of Banjo-Kazooie, which can take anywhere from 10 minutes to an hour, and then I did some Mario Maker viewer levels. And 2 hours of a playthrough is more in line than like 5 hours, or God forbid, like some of those Pikmin episodes installments went up to like 10. Admittedly, I was playing multiple games. I will say there were, even in the early days of the stream, days where I was doing playthroughs with multiple games and trying to hold myself to doing 2 chapters, you know. So like some of the earlier games were like Donkey Kong Country Returns and Super Paper Mario, and I was doing them in tandem, you know, one world of each at a time. And I bet that one also went some time, you know. But who remembers, and there's no VOD of that. You know, that was before I started archiving, so who remembers, who knows. All I can say is I do think that a shorter stream time on occasion is probably a good thing. I'll do another card before we head over and say hello to whoever is over there. You know, we've done it. We've beaten the bird. Everyone is good. We can leave now. Oh, wait a minute. We remember, actually. You know what I was about to say? Like, oh, Link only thinks the bird is the problem. But no, Link saw the big man. Link knows the big man is there. So, yeah, we're going to say hello to the big man. But, first, make some predictions for Pikmin 4. Unfortunately, my main prediction is that I don't think there's any unrevealed types. I think that... Well, I've seen there's been some data mining, and I'm pretty sure there hasn't been out of that any sort of like details about like, okay, there's another type or something. But I do think it'd be silly if Florlix were the only type of onion expansion. I think there'll be some other sort of onion upgrade that you can find that'll do, like, I don't know, that'll give Pikmin some sort of additional something, or maybe make it so that you can have 4 or 5 types out at once. That would be like my big prediction, that there's some sort of upgrade item that takes your capacity, your like limit on Pikmin types, and busts it up to 4 or 5. And maybe there's 2 of them in the game, and maybe you can only go as high as 5 types at once. And I think that would be fair. That would leave you with, like, you know, you can make a squad of 5 types, and I suppose I would say like equally split them up. But then again, I don't know like what the maximum will be. Okay, second prediction. You could have more than 100 Pikmin on the field, I will bet. And that's both in the nighttime and with the use of like the Glowman. And also just floor licks, I bet you can have a capacity that tops 100. Already in the first level, you could get like 20 more, right? Go from 20 to 40. So if you have every level has like that, well, actually, then, you know, assuming like 5 levels, yeah, that would take you to 100. I think we'll go above 100. That's what I think. I think 100 is not the max in this game. I think we'll see above that. Any other predictions? I think it'll be fun. I think that the next Pikmin that they will introduce. Okay, there's 4 Pikmin types left, right? Or 5 including Glowman. I think the next ones that you will have the opportunity to get will be the purples and the whites. Should it be the purples and the whites? I guess if it was the purples and the rocks, that'd be a weird overlap, you know? That'd be too similar. It's also very possible that the purple onion will be, like, really well hidden. So maybe you start to find purples in, like, World 2 or something, but you only get a purple onion after, like World 4 or something. Or, like, the 4th area. As for how many worlds there are, I don't know. Previous games have had, like 5 or so. 4 or 5. 4, and then a final level. I feel like we've seen at least 3. At least, like, 4 different levels so far. So I'm gonna... And the menu seems like it's pretty big. I'm gonna guess there's more than usual. I'm gonna guess there's, like, maybe 6. Let's say 6 real levels. Maybe 7 or 8, even. Maybe that's really optimistic. And you know, they would really have to go above 100 if there were that many, because, you know, it does seem like they want to put an onion in each world. And a floor lick in each world as well. Or 2. I don't really have any specific predictions about enemies. And I feel like everything else has just been exposed, like, well enough where I think we have a pretty good idea about what's to come and what's in there, you know? And as for the plot, like, yeah, everyone knows from the first trailer that they did that had, like, the turned Olimar in it, everyone knew what's up. You know, everyone knew, it's like, oh, that's Olimar. That's Olimar. It's pretty much 1000% confirmed. There's no mystery to it. That's just him. I think that'll do for predictions. I don't think there's another type other than Glowman. I think that's it. I think we know all the types, and sad to say, but there will be no further surprises. Other than, like, the game being huge, other than the game having a lot of cool shit. And I'll say this, I hope that it has some bite to it. I hope to get into some dungeons that are just kind of scary, kind of brutal, and kind of make you want to, like, use that time rewind function. If we go through this entire game and I never, at a certain point, go like, okay, fuck, I need to restart this floor because I just lost 90 Pikmin all at once, then I think something will have gone wrong. But it's also possible it's just a lot more accessible than before. We will see. Let's talk to Ganondorf. Or is this Ganondorf or Ganon? I think he might be going by Ganon this time. Yeah, it's been a while. Like 2 weeks. Less in game time. That is Ganondorf. That's right. Is this He's the master. Oh no. But wait, I have the sword. By the way, boy, when you do the sword, did you notice how the monsters frozen in time suddenly started stirring? Eh? Do you know what that means? Oh, I don't know that you do. It is the blade of evil's bane. Again, so many names. This sword has a million fucking names, like Austin Walker. Million names. Probably people don't get that reference. Austin Walker was a journalist and like a games media guy who worked at Giant Bomb and then founded Waypoint Vice, quit Waypoint Vice, and currently does freelance stuff. He's a cool dude, and he when they did like that video game wrestling at like PAXs and stuff, he had a lot of names. You know, he had like a million names, which was like his gimmick. Austin Walker of Swords. Sword of a key. The most wretched little key has kept the seal on me on my thing intact. By withdrawing the blade, you have broken the seal. You gotta hit him. That sword is cool. It does not sparkle with the power to repel evil, you know? Go back to the world below and tell that to the pathetic fools who made the blade. Its power is gone, and its edges is dull. Hey, hey. Here's Tetra. Get the fuck up, come on, we're in a little battle here. Pathetic sea rat. Oh, wait a minute. She has a thing. What the fuck? My Triforce of power is resonating. That's right, it's Princess Zelda. I'll say, now that he's said it, for those who didn't know, I'm sure a lot of people knew, I'd be you know, I shouldn't say, like, there might be people watching this or later watching it later on, I don't know, who are like, you know, in it for the story, haven't seen the game before, haven't played the game before. So I probably shouldn't spoil things ahead of time just to be like, you know, precautious, but yeah, that's Zelda. I think Tetra is one of the coolest Zeldas who's been in the series so far. One of the most active Zeldas. And I'll say the only thing that's a shame is that after this point, she ends up not really playing that much of a role. Also, yeah, why don't we just bring our dragon to... This is a smart thing to do. The dragon came to town and just burned the guy up. Peace. Valoo is a cool dude. And it is cool, even now, that his tail is shaped like a grappling hook. Like, that doesn't stop being cool, even though we're well behind that. Here we are, back at the Tower of the Gods. Hey, Valoo, thank you for coming by. Appreciate the assist. Ganondorf. His name is Ganondorf, he said. Not Ganon, strictly speaking. I guess he has multiple names, too. Bye, dude. Where's that big fish? That big fish never comes back. Never does a cool thing. I guess the thing is, big fish can't fly. Big fish can't fly. That's a hell of a thing to say. Valoo can fly. That's why Valoo can help. Also, I don't think big fish can breathe fire or do any sort of elemental attack. Maybe some sort of water thing, but that's not gonna help. I suppose if it was like, you know, the fish who were like archer fish, and like some of the Mario games, they're like, they could spit you spit water at you from water, like for like a whole screen length. I guess if big fish could do that, like like a high enough range, then they could have just squirted the little wrecked ship and have that be that. Hey, what the fuck? This is my stone. Your name is Tetra, right? You're coming. Yeah, he does sound important. Bye, my boat. What, you know, I'm sure you would say things to me if you were still, you know, active. All right, we're heading to the sword room. And here's the guy from Tears from Breath of the Wild itself. It's an enhanced version of the Gossip Stones. I am the one who made it. So, but wait, the Gossip Stones don't allow you to communicate. They just tell you hints. Unless the Gossip Stone is actually always just like Impus on the other end or something going like, I heard that you have to do this before you can do that. I heard you have to go to the, what's a good example? I heard you have to free the carpenters before you can do the next part of the thing, you know, before you can go to the Spirit Temple. Or whichever one it is. Yeah, Spirit Temple, right? Tales of the Kingdom, the place where the power of the god lies hidden. The gods lie hidden. This place is where you two now stand, my kingdom. This is Hyrule. And I am its king. Daphne's. No Hansen. No Hansen. Hyrule. People don't remember that I do people, if you ask like 100 people, like on Discord or whatever, do you think one of them could name the full name of King of Hyrule? Daphne's No Hansen Hyrule. Also, wait, does that mean Zelda's name is Zelda Hyrule? Is that Zelda's last name too? It is the King of Red Lions. I like that name better. He thought he could just play it coy and, you know, not tell us who he was, but that didn't end up working out because we need to do a thing. You remember the intro? It's that. The intro that plays before you start the game? This is that. This is the story of that. The gods heard the pleas and they said like, fuck this, and then they just covered the whole of Hyrule in rain. You know, water. They love water, the gods do. Before the sealing of the kingdom, the gods chose those who would build a new country and commanded them to take refuge on the roof on the mountains. Your ancestors. Hundreds of years have passed. But a bad thing has happened since then. The whole situation. And we now have the Triforce of Wisdom. Right here. Your mother passed it down to you. This lighting looks great. I like how the lighting looks here. Kind of makes it look a little eerie, a little ominous. It is the sacred power, the Triforce. Now I'm going to combine the two, and that's going to make it so that you have a dress now, and you're not allowed to be an explorer anymore. Your days of piracy, being a cartoon pirate, are, over, my lady. Again, this is one of the best Zeldas, but from this point on, now that you've found out that she's Zelda, she doesn't have that much to do. My fate. Yes, stay here while Link goes out and does, business. Yes, he'll be looking for this child, so, we have to keep her all locked up, beneath the sea. Zelda, you're not allowed to come. So you're gonna stay here and stay safe, and that'll be that. Also, he's a ghost. I guess he's always been a ghost. In this game, he starts off as a ghost, as sort of like an immortal spirit. And in Breath of the Wild, he's also a ghost. He's never not been a ghost, except maybe in Ocarina, but he was like off screen. It was a whole thing. I don't really like that sound effect. That's the one thing about this Link I would say you could do better. That sounds like weird. Sounds weird to me. Alright, that was the Enchantment Under the Sea Part 2. Back to the Future reference right there. What the fuck, why not? Final segment here tonight. What's up? Something has happened to the sages. They should be at the Wind Temple and the Earth Temple in the north and south praying, but yeah, we would go under the sea, but there's like a bear here, so we're gonna go through the mountaintop entrances. And also, let's get the fuck out of here because we can't let them know that Zelda's under the sea. So yeah, we can't see her either until whatever next plot point happens. Anyway. Yes, it's Ocarina of Time. He was called to embark on another journey and left the land of Hyrule. He was separated from the elements that made him a hero. But he did end up being a hero in that other area, in Termina somehow. So jot that down, despite not having the Triforce anymore. And he didn't start with the Triforce either, so, also important. You don't need the Triforce to be a hero, it just helps you win the day. So yeah, now it's giving us the seeds of the Triforce hunt. Oh man, we're not going to rush down the Triforce hunt anytime soon. Maybe that'll be its own special episode or some shit, I don't know. So there's one in the north, one in the south. We're not going to trouble ourselves with any of that. Here's what's on the agenda here for the last bit of the night. I want to find a tornado. I want to get the warp ability. And 2, I want to go back to Outsets and say hello to the people what got saved. And say, how you doing? How you feeling? Grandmama, are you back? Are you good? Can I get some soup? Stuff like that is about what I'll be asking. Meanwhile, I still do have a couple of cards. Y'all seeing chances to snag invites to Blue Sky. The way Blue Sky works right now is that people who are in Blue Sky, apparently they get one invite that they can give out every week. And as a result, turns out that a couple of people I know in Discords are in it and are occasionally saying things like, hey, anyone want this invite? And I haven't exactly snagged one yet, but whenever I see that, I go like, You know what? I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't terribly mind a invite to the service, to Blue Sky, since it's so, especially since it's, you know, so exclusive and all. That wouldn't be a bad thing. I mean, I don't know like what I would do if I was on Blue Sky. It's like, you know, I don't intend on like Or a tornado? We need a tornado. I don't intend on, like, treating this like, you know, I don't think Blue Sky will be, like, the same as Twitter was back in the day. But it does sound, like, pleasantly quaint, and it does sound like, you know, there's people on there. And I've also heard people say, like, oh, it's actually kind of cool. It feels like the early days of Twitter, where like, you can totally, like, brush shoulders with, like, famous people, because there's just not very many people on the site, you know, on Blue Sky, and there's just a bunch of celebrities and shit who have taken to it, and, like, you know, the people have said it feels more like early Twitter in that sense, where it's just like, oh yeah, it's a small world, there's not that many people to where that sort of interaction is impossible or just not the thing. I remember when that was the way Twitter was, where it's just like, yeah, you know, there were people just tweeting who were like celebrities or video game people or whatever, and you're like, yeah, everyone would reply to them. I would reply to them. And I'd say like, oh yeah, what I'm looking forward to is this game, and oh, I like that. Oh, you make a good point. That's very funny, you know, maybe telling a joke back or something, I don't fucking know. It depends. But like, Twitter had become, for years and years, just something where I scrolled and retweeted when I saw something I liked. And that, you know, isn't quite as fun, but I don't know, I'd like to get an invite, I think. And certainly, like, between the exclusivity and the fact that, you know, it's between the exclusivity and, like, how hard it is to get in. If I could just, like, get in, I feel like I would be somewhat pleased. I'd be happy about that. You know? I'll say I don't know, like, where we are going. I'm just looking for, like, a tornado. And I'm just sailing in a direction. Let me do another card while we're just sailing. Had to put up with a false fire alarm yesterday. Yeah, I've mentioned before, this apartment, it's a bit shit. It's a bit beaten down. And I'll say it's not due to its age. This apartment is like 4 years old, you know, it's like 3 or 4, 5 years old tops. I think like 4 years old. But it's just practically falling apart, honestly. It's kind of ridiculous. And we have the fire system here. It's just so damn unreliable. We've had like a half dozen false alarms in the last year. You know, and a half maybe. And when I moved in, they even said it then. I heard people telling me, you know, I don't talk to my neighbors that often, but one of the few times I did talk to a neighbor, they said like, oh yeah, well, I guess actually this must have been like the first fire alarm. You know what, context-wise, that makes sense. It must have been the first fire alarm that I dealt with. A neighbor who was like, who had been through a couple at the time said like, yeah, we've had a couple of these false alarms, and, you know, it's always been a false alarm. The fire people come, and just nothing. I guess I will say, there was one time it wasn't quite a false alarm, but just like, pipes were bursting, and, you know, obviously you don't need to evacuate because some show unit got fucking flooded, but I did appreciate that they did do that time, because goddamn, it was amazing to see just like a waterfall of water pouring out of a second story building, a second story like showroom. You know, a goddamn waterfall. It was incredible. Never seen anything like it. I know there's a fast travel around this island. Maybe there'll be a tornado around this island too. There we go. There's a tornado. Anyway, this time was just a false alarm. It was kind of annoying. I was trying to like sleep in a little bit, and I had to wake up and walk around outside, and it was fucking rainy outside. Rainy and terrible. No one wanted to go actually outside. Everyone was just standing in the doorway. Really, really irresponsible. They have a fire alarm that you just can't trust, you know? I feel like we all ought to be compensated because we are basically living without a fire alarm that functions, you know? Living without a fire alarm that'll tell you when you need to pay attention. Because when a fire alarm goes off, you should leave. And right now, because I've been through so many false alarms, like, yeah, I'm gonna put on pants first. I'm gonna, like, grab my umbrella. I'm gonna grab my phone and my shit. I'm gonna put on a pair of slippers at least. Or flip-flops if it's really hot. You know, I'm not just gonna, like, go, like, I'm not just gonna run out the door because there's been so many false alarms that I just can't trust it. I want to get out of this apartment. House, probably not viable in the next year. You know, by December when my lease is up, but maybe a better apartment, let's say. I sort of want one where I can still have the my L-shaped desk set up, and, you know, I need to have, like, my bookcase, my preview monitor, my entertainment, my television. It needs to be good for streaming too, which, you know, adds an extra thing. Also, I got that big cabinet back there, and I'd like to not get rid of it because I really like that nice cabinet and that nice, like, accent table. I forget what those things are called, where it's just like a table you put stuff on, and also it has some cabinets in it, and it's not that high. Not a dresser. I think it was called like an accent console or something, I don't know. Anyway, hey, we got the fast travel song. Goodbye, my dude. Oh shit, I'm just realizing. Is this gonna show you all the map? Yes, okay, shit, this is the only time where the map will be on screen for y'all to enjoy. Oh, isn't that nice? Wow. You can actually see the map if we pull up the fast travel. And, like, all the major islands except for Forsaken have, like, fast travel points, so, you know, that's cool. Windfall, Tingle, Great Isle. I guess, like, the dungeon entrances do not, but, you know, you only need to go to those once, ideally. Oh, wait a minute, that's Tingles, yeah? Well, I thought I would just, you know, finish off the map real fast. So that, like, all the places that we can, like, I don't know how that sounds, Ooh, hey, letter. The audio on my gamepad was on. It might have been picking up on the mic. Sure, it's fine. I got 2 letters. Cash on delivery. Okay. I'll pay up. Incredible chart. Shows you where the Triforce are. Tangled charts, what? Okay, now we got a tingle chart. That'll help. They're actually nice for pirates. They all have names, and they all have personalities, apparently. News to me, I don't know their names. Maybe I know, like, one or two. Gonzo. That's a name that I sort of recognize. Nico. Nico was, like, our boss man, you know, like, our guy who did, like, the minigame for us. Don't know the rest of them all that well. I want to get these maps, and then we're gonna say hello to Grandmama. I also have one more card tonight, so that works out perfectly. It turns out I prepared a good amount of cards for the material we had to go through. We need a deep wallet and a lot of money to decipher maps from him. Sure, whatever. Last card, I got jury duty, apparently. Next month, sometime. It's on a Monday, but it's in, like, the morning, so I don't know if it'll affect, like, the stream or anything. But, yeah. Maybe we'll delay that stream that day to Tuesday, just to be, you know, on the safe side. But yeah, I got hit with it, you know, as you do. I'll say I've never taken part in a jury. I've gotten jury duty a couple of times, I think, but previous times the case just you know, evaporated before the day, and I didn't have to do anything, you know. Either that or I was rejected. I forget which way it worked. You know, whether I was one of the ones that they looked at and said, like, no thank you, you know. Nope, no, not gonna go with you. Or if it was just a case of, like, yeah, it was like for a traffic ticket, and they just paid the ticket. You know, it was something like that. You know. It's probably something minor like that. I think, like, most court cases are. Imagine if it was something cool, like a murder or something. That'd be something. That would be unusual. You can always get out of a court case by saying something like, oh no, I'm super biased, I hate cops, you know. Say stuff like that, and you will, and no chance of getting picked, you know. You just say, like, oh, I'm a hardcore communist, and they'll say, like, okay, well, you're out. We need someone who can like, be impartial, you know? So if you want to get out, you can either say, like, oh, well, there's no way I can't not vote guilty. Or you could say, like, there's no way I cannot vote, innocent. Either one would be disqualifying. I plan on being honest about it. I don't tend to, like, pull any fast ones, though I will say I lean pretty far to the left and, don't really trust cops in the abstract. But I'm gonna play it, like, cool and shit, you know. But also, you know, I'll be honest, I guess, and if they ask the right question and it elicits the right answer, I suppose maybe I'll get out of it through a manner like that, you know. We'll see. I think it'd be interesting to spend a day doing jury duty, and honestly, I wouldn't mind a day off work, you know, like, where's sister? Hello, I'm right here. Do you want some bait? Well, that was a waste. I don't think there's any items I can use in here. I don't have any mail. I could give her like a WWE belt, a title. No. I forget what you're supposed to do here. It's not bait. It's not tingle thing. And it's not taking a picture. Say cheese, Grandmama. It's like a sad face. Oh, Grandmama. Grandmama, she's so sad. Anyway. Well, I don't remember what's up with Grandmama. Where exactly is Errol right now? Let's at least say hi to her before we call it. I did come all the way back here. You know, I guess all 3 streams of this game so far have either started or ended on Outpost, on Outset Island, just through like the way that it ended up. You know, just the way that we've been going through it. I'll say, after this, there's really no reason for us to return, so, like, I would bet against that happening a 4th time. You know, I guess it's possible. Where is Errol? Thought she was returned. Could she be up here hanging out on top of the mountain? If I was her, I would be hanging out on top of the mountain. Who's this guy? What's up? Beneath the rock head is the oh, fuck that. Don't say it. Yeah, so there's a thing in this that you have to do. I feel like let's do the other dungeons before we do like that. You know. Can we see like all the islanders from up here? Or is there like a draw distance thing? Well, this is the Wii U, so probably not a draw distance thing. I don't see where my sister is. Errol is, you know, in-game sister. I don't see where she is at. Where Link's sister is at. So, how about we just call it then? That was a pretty good, some pretty good progress made tonight. I'm gonna save. I'm gonna save, and now let's go ahead and pull up the schedule. And hopefully it looks good. Yep, okay, yep, that's good. So, here's the plan. Like I said, like I've been saying, Thursday, the plan this week is Pikmin 4 launch night. I'm gonna play Pikmin 4 starting from after the end of the demo, which is basically the first world, and change, you know, tutorials, first world. You can 100% it, and I have 100%ed it. So, we'll be going into the second world and just, you know, playing the game. And we'll see if we get into, like, the third world or, like, into the nighttime portions of that game. I'm hoping to do probably some of that, some of the nighttime, some of the, you know, I'm hoping to do, like, a good variety of stuff in that stream. I'm hoping it, really gets going, you know, in that, time. I'll say, like, the demo, by the end of the demo, things are cooking. So, you know, even if it just stays as cooking as it is at the end of the demo, I think that's going to be really sick and really fun. That'll be Thursday's plan. Friday, 6 p.m. Central. Friday evening viewer levels back at the normal time. And, you know, for the foreseeable future, it'll be at that time. Looking forward to that. That's always a good time. And then on Sunday will be the rare roulette. The rare roulette. I should say it's the rare roulette, not the rare roulette. I'll correct that. I'll correct that before the next stream. But this is celebrating 500 followers on Twitch, and basically will be me switching between 7 games randomly every minute or two. And let me pull up again the promo image for that I showed off at the top of the stream. Look at that thing, isn't that lovely? Took inspiration from the wireframe rare logo from Donkey Kong Country 1. That's always been a very, very cool thing. And yeah, look at that. It's a big promo card with the 7 games on it. The DKCs, three DKCs, 3 banjos, and it's Mr. Pants. And yeah, we'll be switching between them randomly every minute or two, and probably going like 8-10 hours. Should be one hell of a night. One hell of a stream. I'm looking forward to it. This has been on the books for a while, as the plan for this 500 followers celebration, and look forward to it this weekend. Hell fucking yeah. Pulling up the schedule one more time. I'm gonna put in the raid now. I'll say again, the plan is for to do the stream on next stream will be Thursday, a little later than normal, but that's because Pikmin 4 is launching at 11 p.m. Central Time. So yeah, let me see who's doing something. Huh. Day 9 is doing mostly walking. I don't think I've seen Day 9 streaming at a time where I can raid, or even a time that I can watch, honestly, and ever. I used to watch a lot of Day 9. Was a really big fan back in his like Hearthstone and his StarCraft days, back when that was like the priority of his channel. Let's see, what's good? What do we want? Daft Husky is playing like that. It's playing some Mario Maker. That's always a good thing. Let's go with Daft Husky. Daft Husky is a pretty cool dude. Does like some Nintendo streams. Does a lot of Nintendo streams. Currently doing some Mario Maker. That's kind of my main game. Or at the very least, it's the one game that never changes. I'll say, time was we used to do 2 Mario Maker streams a week. I'm really happy with 1 stream a week. I feel like that's the right amount where I don't think I'll ever get sick of 1 stream of Mario Maker a week. But I will say sometimes I do miss it, you know. And sometimes I do find myself not making progress in my my making, possibly because I'm only playing it once a week. Maybe we'll see about doing like a making stream at some point. Eventually. Let's go ahead and send y'all over to Daft Husky. I'm gonna pull up the stream. I'm gonna pull up his stream on my phone so I can watch along, you know, with the raid. And let's go ahead and do that. Thank y'all for coming by, saying hello, hanging out if you did. We've made great progress in this game. Oh, hang on, I gotta get my mouse so I can send off this raid. We've made great progress this stream. We've beaten a whole dungeon. We've seen like Hyrule 1, Forsaken 2, Hyrule 2, that whole cutscene down there. We've gotten some stuff done, and now we're on to the last 2 real dungeons of the game. I forget which one is first. Whether we're going to Earth or Wind first, or Air, or whatever the fuck. there's one of them you have to do first. We'll find out next time. That'll be next week. But I will see y'all on Thursday, a little later than normal for Pikmin 4, Friday viewer levels, and Sunday the rare roulette. I'll see you then. Bye, folks.